We will rejoin the GE Theater presentation of To Heal a Nation right after this brief Moscow Summit special report.
Good evening. I'm Garrick Utley in Moscow. President Reagan has finished his first day at the summit here at the Kremlin. In the initial round of face-to-face talks, the president and Mikhail Gorbachev wrestled over the human rights issue. The Russians are not happy about the American emphasis on it, and they let Mr. Reagan know it. But Gorbachev did not let that dispute mar the president's arrival to a warm Moscow welcome. There was a brilliant sunshine and a low-key greeting as President Reagan arrived for his fourth summit and his first trip ever to the Soviet Union. Andrei Gromyko, the president of the Soviet Union, greeted Mr. Reagan. But other than a brief military review, there were no other ceremonies at the airport. The formal ceremonies were in the splendor of a 200-foot-long gilded reception room at St. George's Hall in the Kremlin Palace. There, both men exchanged opening remarks and swapped proverbs. Mikhail Gorbachev, referring to this first visit by President Reagan, said, "It is better to see once than to hear 100 times." As for the summit, he told the president, important tasks lie ahead, and said it is incumbent upon the two leaders to discuss the major aspects of disarmament. Both nations, he said, long for a safe world. President Reagan, speaking of the gradual progress in U.S.-Soviet relations over recent years, noted that differences still remain. Then he cited a Russian proverb which translated means, "It was born, it wasn't rushed." The president said, "We have taken our work step by step and have come here to continue that work." The only unscheduled event on the president's schedule was a visit with Mrs. Reagan to Arbat Street, a popular shopping area and pedestrian mall. It came after the president had ended his first meeting at the Kremlin. On Arbat Street, the Reagans were caught in a crush of security agents who struggled against the mob of well-wishers and traveling news people. There was also another kind of summit meeting today as well, this one between the wives of the two leaders. There had been reports of friction between Raisa Gorbachev and Nancy Reagan at the summit meeting in Washington. Leaving their husbands, the two women, smiling and with no signs of coolness, toured the Assumption Cathedral, the oldest and largest church in the Kremlin. Both women told reporters that reports of antagonism between them were frivolous. Said Nancy Reagan, "We've gotten along very well every time." Tomorrow, President Reagan meets again with Gorbachev inside the Kremlin. He will also meet with Soviet dissidents, political and religious. Soviet leaders are not happy about that, but the meeting will take place at the residence of the American ambassador here in Moscow. Mr. Reagan will also visit a monastery, and tomorrow evening, there's a big state dinner here at the Kremlin. Our coverage of all of this starts tomorrow with NBC News at sunrise, followed by the Today program, and then NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. I'm Garrick Utley, NBC News in Moscow.